You're listening to Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to show number 10 of Whispers of War. I'm your host Sil, and as you can hear, I'm still a bit husky. I'm not 100% better, but much better than last week at least. But I still sound a little bit husky, and I'm sorry if there's some coughing that I haven't edited out of this show. If that happens, my apologies. So what's been going on? Other than that, we've reached show number 10, double digits. We are not doing much in World of Warcraft. I don't know why I used the we. I'm not royal or anything like that. But yeah, it's not been a very good time in World of Warcraft at the moment for me. I think it's just because I've been feeling really unwell. I just don't want to sit behind a computer all the time, and all I ended up doing was going to bed early with a book and a big mug of tea. That was really how my week just played out, unfortunately. But I did play a little bit today, and you know, the Warfront, again, it has switched, so now I'm just doing the quest that you get. And it gives you some stuff, so why not? Why not? Especially because there are many groups doing it, so when you have to get 20 of, like, with the Bark Trolls, or 20, or, what is it, Ogres? It's not that difficult to complete in a relatively short time. So I thought I would do that. One thing that really surprised me, because I'm not exalted with any of the factions just yet for BFA, was that all of a sudden this quest popped up to talk to Bonsamdi, and this is a bit of a spoiler regarding Vol'jin, and to talk to the spirit of Vol'jin that you summon. And I was like, well, but I'm not exalted, so what's going on? So I don't know if it's if you have to be over halfway from revered to exalted or something. But yeah, I got that quest, and now I have to stake Gahun with a glaive of Vol'jin. So yeah, that's not going to happen for a very long time, I think, in Raid, unless I start doing LFR. But I don't even know if you can already kill Gahun in LFR, or if that's another wing that is not even open, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm in no rush. So, yeah, interesting that this has now all of a sudden popped up. Other than that, still no pets. I'm very tempted to buy Captain Crackers. I don't know why. It's probably because of the name, because I have no real interest in parrots, but I do like animals with hats. So maybe that's where my fascination with this pet has come from. But haven't bought it just yet. Also still haven't bought the BlizzCon ticket yet. It's not that I don't want to, it's just, you know, £35 English pounds is a significant amount of money. So I'm a bit umming and ahhing right before everything. Maybe I'll do it right before my birthday and gift it to myself as an early birthday present. Because for those of you who don't know, my birthday is on the 1st of November, so that's right before BlizzCon. I can validate that to myself, right, and go, like, well, if you want to spend the money, this is a good excuse. So maybe I'll do that. But yeah, I'm still very much into World of Warcraft. Just it's a little bit meh at the moment. I have no desire to level on the Alliance side. I'm really sorry, Alliance players. I'm very happy with the Horde, but I have been RPing a bit. Oh, I do have to tell you about my adventures in Goldshire. So I decided to log in on my my low-level Lightforged Draenei. She was not dressed skimpily or scantily clad. Nothing like that. So I went into Goldshire and into the Lion's Pride Inn. And I tried not to read too many TRPs, because we all know what they consist out of. For those who don't know, TRPs are total role play profiles. So it's an add-on that makes you basically put down more about your character, so you can put in what they look like. You can even put links to artwork if you want to, all sorts of things. And it's for, I think, among role players, it's really good, because you can actually read a bit about the character, and if it would be an interesting character to RP with, it would sometimes give you little clues. For instance, I sometimes put down that my character has a black eye or looks tired, and that sometimes helps other role players to go, oh, hey, you look a little bit tired, or hey, what happened to your face? Things like that, you know, it's just a little tool. Now in Goldshire, those things look more like the profiles of dating websites, but then really not for like, you know, long-term relationships, but more for one-night stands. And yeah, not something I was really interested in. Again, I'm, you know, live and let live. If people want to do that, I'm perfectly fine with people ERPing. I am not judging people. I just always say to everyone who wants to do it or does it, just make sure that you know a little bit, you know, about the age of the person that you're ERPing with, just because there's a big risk that this game is being played by someone who is very, very young and might not entirely know what they're saying, or, you know, even teens. Just watch out with what you do. That's all I'm saying, guys and girls. Be careful and be safe. So, yeah, went into Goldshire. Anyhow, we go back. The whole announcement is over now. I went into Goldshire, and I was just up for really, really simple, silly RP, and it was actually interesting because when you walk upstairs in Alliance Pride Inn, of course there were naked tunes. I wouldn't have expected anything else, but I've seen some really weird conversations, I guess. Nothing relating to sexual things or anything, but people were just yelling at each other and going, where's the dragon? I know there's a dragon here. And then everyone was running around the inn trying to find this dragon. And I actually had a really good time. I actually laughed my head off most of the time because it was so silly. It's like what I said in the previous show. It feels very much like when you were young and all of a sudden someone in your group of friends would decide, okay, now we're doing this, and we're all just running around and we're playing. It's really a lot of fun if you don't have to take it too serious. And all of a sudden there was a dwarf running around the inn, saying that he sold sausages. Now, I know this could be, you know, maybe a little bit different interpreted, but even so, it made me laugh, and I started to follow him a bit. And he kept on talking about sausages, and then other people came up and said, oh yeah, I would like a sausage, and they roleplayed the whole... It was an actual sausage, okay? No metaphors or anything. That's what he actually played as a sausage vendor. And, yeah, I don't know. It was funny. So I think I will actually go into Goldshire more. So this is for everyone on a roleplay server. When you see someone go into Goldshire, it doesn't have to be just for that. You know what I mean. It can be maybe also for the silly roleplay. And I enjoyed it. So I think I will be back there this weekend just to see if there are many more adventures with or without sausages and dragons. So yeah. Goldshire was a hit. Other than that, nope, didn't venture anywhere else. I should really, really also try Silvermoon, because I know that Silvermoon is kind of like the equivalent of, Goldshire. So I might have to do the same thing for Silvermoon. I'm a little bit scared of going there though, because I've heard that it's worse in a different way. But I'm going to try it anyway, so we will see. We will see. I'll keep you posted with my adventures in the seedy underbelly of Silvermoon. Now, something completely different. I had an amazing interview with Nagus, or Grand Nagus, from Corpse Run Radio. So I will let you listen to... you will have to deal with 2 accents this time in the interview, so I hope your ears are prepared for that. But his is lovely, mine's not so much. So I hope you enjoy the interview, and I will see you on the flip side. So with me today, I have a very, very lovely guest, and I'm already in love with his accent. I have the amazing Nagus.
Hello, Sil.
Hello. So a lot of people know you from, well, they must know you from so many podcasts. I certainly did. So why don't you share with the world who you are, what podcasts you're doing, all those things?
Not all those things, not that many, but basically I'm from Germany. I started playing in vanilla in like basically the early stages of European release, which is like 6 months after the US release. I started mid-June or mid-July, something like that.
Okay.
Of 2005. I had to take care of a couple of personal things, so I couldn't start as early as I wanted to. My then girlfriend said, "No, you have to take, and I want to play." And nope, not going to happen. And then we were on a holiday in Berlin, so that took another week or two out of the thing. So yeah, and then
late start time.
Yeah, but anyway, so I eventually, like I said, got to play in mid-June, July, something like that. I am a retired civil servant.
Okay.
So I basically have all the time in the world to play if I so choose. That's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
I can imagine.
Yeah, because there are always these chores that you need to do, and then you need to. Sometimes, if it's like really like with the launch of an expansion or a big content patch, there is that amount of time of a couple of days to a week where you really want to immerse yourself in the new content, and you tend to forget left and right, and you just turn off the phones and everything. So no one has to bother me. It's like nope. But again, then you get to your senses and you see that that's not really what's good for you. So there is that fine line that you have to walk.
Yeah, everything in moderation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like the login message says, everything in moderation, even World of Warcraft.
Exactly. So people must have recognized your voice. And I listened to one of your podcasts and I was really impressed with some of the guests you've had on. Can you tell a little bit about your podcasts?
I do 2 podcasts, one on a regular basis with co-hosts. That is Control Alt WoW with lovely Aprillian and with Constructs. That is the longer running of the 2 by about 8 years. Something.
That's a very long time.
Yeah. I think it's about 12 years old now.
Wow.
Something like that. So it's one of the longest running podcasts, WoW podcasts that there are out there. So Constructs and I have been edition for. We came on board a couple of years ago, I think, by now. And I really, really like what the podcast is about. It's about, obviously, about alts and about the not so serious side of playing World of Warcraft, because many people that raid, they have their main and then they have some alts maybe that provide support for them, but then there are the other people that have 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts. They run a a complete dungeon by themselves with their 5 accounts. And so there's like the one, and then there is the other, and somewhere in between, that's basically where everything that is an alt takes place, and exploring all these different styles of play for me is just awesome. I recently had to purge a couple. I don't know. I mentioned the nasty P word. we don't do that lightly, but with all the problems that Blizzard gave us, with the fact that they introduced new allied races and increased the character slots on your server, but not the overall character maximum, which is still at 50.
Is it still 50?
It is still 50.
That's so bizarre to me. That should, I mean, especially for people who love to create different alts and just looks, I don't understand why they haven't increased that.
Probably because it's a business decision, I would imagine, because then that's the quote unquote only way for them to make money off of people that have many tunes.
Yeah.
So that you have to start a second or third account to be able to make new characters. So yeah, I mean, and then there might be, we don't know, there might be technical limitations, but given the fact that they said for so long that the backpack in the game was never going to be bigger than 16 slots, and all of a sudden, was it half a year ago or a year ago? Oh, now you have the SMS Protect, and now you get 4 extra slots for your backpack.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, yeah. So that's not the case anymore. So I wonder how, if they've ever said that, I'm not sure, but if they've ever said that, how much of that is still true?
You'd think that at a certain point the technology gets a bit better. I mean, they've done upgrades to their servers, and I mean, the fact that they've now had a launch that was worldwide at the same time.
Yep.
That, already tells me that they can do a lot more. It's just very reluctant, I think, of changing that. But again, it seems like the more vocal the community is, at a certain point, they're like, okay, well, yeah, we'll change it then.
Yeah, to see the same thing with vanilla or classic WoW, as it is called now.
Yeah.
People screamed long enough, and apparently we're going to get it now.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. And
yeah.
What about...
Yeah, Control Alt WoW is the one, and the other podcast is Corpse Run Radio.
I absolutely love that title, by the way.
Yeah, it's the podcast was created by the awesome Juno, and she had her Juno's Corner before that, and in the early stages, she asked a couple of people, me among them, if I wanted to contribute, and I said, sure, I'll do that, and then eventually. Real life caught up with her, and I took over the podcast last year, and I'm trying to find a way to do it kind of as well as Juno has. I won't ever succeed because she is just such an awesome person. I'll never be able to do it as well as she did.
Oh, I've probably in a different way. I think just as amazing, but probably in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, in a different different is good, but then there is still the. If we go back to vanilla, there's always that vanilla feeling for me too, and I just love her voice. I just love her personality, the way she, and I mean, it's October now. We just entered October, and she's such a Halloween buff, and it's like there's like, and which is totally perfect because Hallows End or Halloween is the Forsaken's holiday.
Absolutely.
So that's that, and I had the extreme pleasure to sit down with Patty Madsen before BFA launch and chat with her for almost a couple of hours. So and that was my first, or the first interview ever that we published on Corpse One Radio. Not to say that it's going to be the last, but and I have a couple of things I'm looking to do, but it's just a thing where these people, they are such awesome people, but they're also professionals and they have work to do. It's work. It's not that we just do it in our spare time. We play the game. For them, it's work. And I have to see when I can get them to sit down with me, because they have to go here, there, and everywhere for their work, to do stuff, and that's not easy to take into account and to work around.
Absolutely, yeah. So what everyone wants to know, what is Lady Sylvanas like? She's just awesome. It's Patty is such a great person. If you've listened to the last couple of episodes that I made since pretty much since the beginning of the year, she was kind enough to record a couple of bumpers for me. Yeah.
For the intro and outro and some stuff and some promotional stuff to promote the episode with the interview. I've never had a professional person be so kind and so loving and caring about the game before. Even though she doesn't play herself, it's just that she really cares for the character, for the people, for the community. It is so awesome.
That's so good to hear that, because I know that people are divided about Sylvanas, but, from my perspective, she always seems very cold and calculating. And then hearing that about the voice actress is just so lovely, that she really does care about, the character. But it also seems that she cares a lot about the community and how people, the interaction between her and so many people who love that character is really good, I think.
Definitely, it definitely is, and I mean, I can say this here and now, and get it out to the public. I'm working on getting together with Diva Gregory. I don't know how many people know her. She's the wife of Taryn Gregory, and she voiced Addie Fizzlebog, the gnome hunter in in High Mountain
Yeah.
at the Nesingberry camp, and you can have her as a hunter champion as well. I totally love that character. People say she can be annoying, but I really don't. I really don't think so. I knew that once I saw that she was a potential companion. Even I thought that there's no way I'll have another bodyguard other than Eddie. It's just a given. There's no other way. That regardless, and she is a companion, not just a bodyguard that shows up from time to time with a buff. She's a constant companion, which is even more awesome.
I like that. I have that with Vanessa von Cleves. She's my constant companion when I still run around in in Dalaran. Yeah, no, I love it. That's so cool. I'm so jealous.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, and she does. I don't know how much you probably know Mira as well.
Yeah,
the Volpira that sings the Dot and Dolly song.
Oh yeah, I love.
That's Diva Gregory too.
Oh my! You need to ask her to make your bumper with that song. You have to.
I'll see if I can.
That's amazing. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so many things to look forward to now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's go to some of the questions. I have a suspicion, but I'm not entirely sure. I might have my first one here. Horde or Alliance? And why?
Obviously Horde.
Yay!
And because Forsaken are Horde.
Mm-hmm.
and the Forsaken are, for me, I don't know how much time you have, but
I have a little bit.
Okay. For me, the Forsaken are such a misunderstood faction,
mm-hmm.
because they bear their name rightfully, because they were forsaken by the Alliance.
Yeah.
After everything that happened in Lordaeron with Arthas, and then when they went back and contacted the Alliance, and they said, get out of here, we don't want anything to do with you monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they've been forsaken. So that's what they call themselves.
Yeah.
The Forsaken. And with the book, Before the Storm, we get an even more in-depth look into the society and the culture of the Forsaken.
So when you started playing World of Warcraft, did you immediately think, okay, this is the first race I want to roll, it has to be Forsaken?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was that appeal for you that you went like, okay, it needs to be a Forsaken?
I don't know. I've always been a sucker for the downtrodden. There is the song by J.R. Cash, Man in Black.
Yeah.
Where I tend to misquote what he sings, but basically it's a thing where why do I wear black? Because he's for the weak and the downtrodden and the oddities in life and in society.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm a big J.R. Cash fan, that appealed to me from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I decided to go with the Forsaken.
Ah, I like that reasoning though. It's much better that people go, oh, I just like the looks, because that's what a lot of people do when they go for like blood elves or night elves. I'm not saying all elves, but a lot of people do.
I mean, looks and Forsaken, it doesn't really go well together. But
No. No, that's very true. Well, let's just immediately roll into the topic that you and I were going to talk about, which was, our favorite races in World of Warcraft. And I'm going to shove the allied races in that as well, because I think we can talk a little bit about that, and also the races that we're not so fond of.
Mhm.
So, if you would have to pick your favorite races in World of Warcraft, which races would that be, and why?
Again, same answer, obviously the Forsaken. And for the same reasons I stated, it's a thing without knowing obviously what the in-depth story that Christy Golden so wonderfully wrote in the book. And for any Forsaken fan that hasn't had the chance to read the book yet before the storm, go and do so. It's worth it just for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not going to spoil anything about it.
No, I'm just saying it's just if you're a fan of the Forsaken, it's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. So after having to read that book, do you now also perceive the Forsaken a little bit different than you did before?
If anything, I think my beliefs have deepened and have been fundamented. It's a thing where you basically have this thought, this belief, and now with the more lore you get, the more information you get.
Yeah.
Either you change your position completely, or you say, yes, that's why, and exactly that is another reason that affirms my beliefs, and it broadens my view within my beliefs. So that's basically what it is for me. If you go and look, and I think we can talk about the battle for Lordaeron.
Yeah.
With what she does, the Dark Lady, that is, at the end cinematic, she tells Nathanos, you know what has to be done. And she takes her bow and goes off, and she sits down on the throne, which is obviously a current day replay of the Arthur's executing his father scene from Warcraft 3. But it's a thing where he knows that she knows what's best, in my opinion. And Vol'jin knows, or he had that vision that told him to have her step out of the shadows, which I had to have. The one intro for Corpstron Radio had to be one revolving around that. And I totally couldn't couldn't not have that. So, and the thing is for me, and that I see that the Horde needs Sylvanas for so many reasons to be the leader at the moment. I don't want to go into spoilers. Can I go into things I would like to see, or things that okay? My thing is, if you look at the books, or the comics that we had, the graphic novels, we can talk about those as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when Elaria and Sylvanas met, you remember the shadows screaming in Illyria's head, kill her, kill her. Why are, and I mentioned that on Corpse Run Radio in the last episode, why are they so scared of her?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? What, the shadows are such a strong force. The Shadow Lords are so strong. They're like said to be the strongest force in the galaxy, in the universe. Why are they so scared of her?
Yeah.
So what I can see is that she has something in her. She is a force to be reckoned with, even for the shadows. And when we see, and that's why they slowly but surely are going to build her up. At least that's what I'm hoping. Obviously, I don't want to see her go anywhere.
Yeah.
But there is that nagging feeling that I have that her state of being undead and being I don't know what, because we really don't know what she is.
Yeah.
Is a big part with everything that's going to happen, and last year's BlizzCon said that we are going to have the second raid being what it is, and there's so many things that start to make sense now. In my little lore nerd mind, and more and more there are these. If you think like a 1,000-piece puzzle,
mm-hmm.
it's like I've almost made it to 250 pieces, and you start to see the outlines of what it's supposed to be, but you just can't make out the main picture yet, or the main.
Yeah, I like that metaphor.
Yeah. So that's if you want to see something more, there is, I can't remember what episode there is, but the Frezcast, Fresley, he talked a couple of episodes ago, I think. He talked about stuff like that, and his guest talked about stuff like that with their. And I can totally follow that train of thought, and it's just awesome to see that stuff that you really want and that you really can see happening really happens.
That is really, really cool. So when everyone knows there was such a controversy around Sylvanas and the Forsaken with the whole thing about Teldrassil and the tree burning.
Mm-hmm.
But Blizzard kept saying morally grey.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still think that is going to happen?
That she is morally grey?
Yeah, because a lot of people go, no, it's just pure evil. But can you still, because you are a diehard Forsaken player.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it from a different perspective, I think, than some other players. Do you still believe that is something that Blizzard will make true, or is it Do you think they just said it so that the community wouldn't keep screaming?
I would say reasons. Again, stuff that I talked about earlier with the outlook upon, from my vantage point, what she is going to be. With, like I said, with the shadows being afraid of her, there has to be something. It just can't be that there is no reason why the shadows are scared of her. They are scared of her. It has to have a reason, and that for me alone already is a fundamental reason to see her actions in a different light, in the light as she is more than we perceive her to be. What could it be? And then you twist and turn that, and you look at her actions from all these different angles and perspectives, and I mean, sure, it wasn't nice that she burned down the tree. Sure, it wasn't nice that they invaded Lordaeron either. So I mean, it's a thing where, war is never pretty. War is always bad, always sad.
Very good point. Yeah.
Whomever instigates it, it doesn't matter. There are always reasons, whether they're justified or not. But again, as the people know that played through the Horde, the Horde invasion of Darkshore, it wasn't her intent to burn down the tree.
No, and I think that you are right with that. I know that people have their views on it with the catapults, I think. But no, I think you are right with that. I don't think it was ever her intention to do that.
At least not in the beginning. I mean,
maybe later on.
No, I mean, there are things that trigger you. Every human being has experienced that one or more times. That there are cases where you intend to do one thing and then something triggers you, and you do things a different way. With a little child sitting and playing with his or her toys in their room, it's not as fundamentally important. With the general on the battlefield in a war, it's much more important and consequential.
Absolutely.
But it's still only a trigger. So it's
And I think for Sylvanas, because the fact that something triggered her, I liked seeing that she doesn't, that she still has a certain, like, emotions coming out of her, whether that be rage or anything like that, or being spiteful or something like that, because that's what she's been called as well. I like that, because I thought, at least she's not like a corpse and there's nothing coming out of her. You get some emotion of how she can be. So no, I'm thinking it's going to be interesting to see where she's going with her storyline, because she's been quite quiet for a while, and now we get to see a bit more of her. So in regards to the Forsaken, do you have any other races that you really, really like? So Forsaken are your number one. If you say that the Forsaken, this has also been very crafted, become their own little faction, what other faction would you play, and what race?
I don't really know. I if I go with my favorite NPCs. Let's go that route. My favorite NPCs are obviously Sylvanas and Chromie. So since Addy is a gnome as well, I would say that gnomes are close to being my second favorite.
Yeah.
Faction, race, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they are Titan constructs.
Yeah.
And if there's anything except the Forsaken lore that I like, it's Titan lore. So anything that is Titan lore, I'm game for. So that's the thing where I really immerse myself in.
Mm-hmm. So this is like the perfect expansions for you, isn't it? With Legion, where we had a bit of the Titans coming back, and then now we're getting it back in Battle for Azeroth with what's going on and what's been stuck in the ground.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Totally.
If you would have to pick your least favorite race in World of Warcraft, which one would you say? Okay, no, that one. Let's redo that one.
My favorite is the Forsaken, so there can only be one least favorite. Yeah, Gan Grayman can go to hell if he wants to. And if he doesn't want to, I'll help him get there.
Is it purely for what they stand for, or is it just the whole concept of Worgen that you don't like?
No, I don't know. It's that's more a role play decision.
Mm-hmm. Which is, in my opinion, is a very valid, reason. I completely understand that.
Yeah, you being a role player, yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand why, if you play a certain race and that is your race, if you have like the basically your enemy, quote unquote, race, yeah, no, I understand why you wouldn't like that race at all. I've seen that many a times when I was still very, very active at roleplay in the beginning of my night elf, that there were certain races I was just like, no, absolutely not going to talk to you. Or, I had that with not even with races, but more with classes like warlocks. And I know that
wait, what?
Because, as a night elf druid, it was a bit like, warlocks.
Yeah.
But, it's that. But I think when you're so dedicated to a race, it makes sense. Now,
I mean, I have to quickly interject.
Yeah.
You know that my Forsaken main is a warlock, right?
I know.
And you know that my gnome main is a warlock, right? Yeah. Okay.
Trust me, I have nothing against warlocks. I have a troll warlock myself, so. No, I get it. I think for myself, I have some gripes with the Worgen. I like the lore behind the Worgen. I just I don't like what they've done.
It is awesome, definitely, and it's kind of a thing with the lore of the Worgen where I can sympathize.
Mm-hmm.
As a Forsaken, where you have the curse of undeath.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the curse of the Worgen that brings you together in a way, as wrong as that sounds now, but still they're both cursed races or beings, whatever, since I still hesitate to call the Forsaken a race because they aren't, they're just different.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing that I really don't like. It's when people call the faction undead, which Blizzard does. I really totally get that. If you create a new character, you select undead.
Yeah.
And if you create a goblin, you choose goblin. But there are actually they're Bilgewater cartel goblins, and they are Forsaken undead. So I would like to see Blizzard take that into account, especially now that we have the allied races where we start to distinguish.
Yeah, how do you feel about the allied races being introduced?
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I just recently, like a couple of days ago, unlocked my Mecha orc.
Yeah.
I wasn't so happy with what they did with the scenario and with the lore-wise.
Okay.
Or let's say I wasn't happy with it at all, even though I'm a horde player. That, for me, it like totally didn't make sense. But that's me being a player, being a fan, and not being a WoW developer. So yeah, but generally, I like the concept of allied races, and I look forward to many more. With the book, getting back to Before the Storm,
Yeah,
I can totally see Lightforged Forsaken being a thing.
Mm-hmm. That would be interesting.
That would be, and then obviously the whole Kalia thing there. That being a way to introduce her into the lore of the game.
Yeah.
Other than her just being part of the priest order hall.
Yeah. How would you feel about it if Blizzard would introduce other races as Forsaken?
Perfect.
Yeah, you would.
Yep.
You would enjoy that because
I would like to see, since we don't have how do I put this? I would limit it to the races that partook in the war.
Okay.
So the third war, obviously you didn't have. I don't know if you had goblins. I don't really know, but like it should only be Draenei can't be Forsaken. They weren't on the planet yet. Stuff like that. Take that into account. If they do that, yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I think the only thing that we've ever seen I don't even know if it was a joke, was I think a Pandaren being part of the undead or Forsaken army. It wasn't even Forsaken, it was an undead army. And I remember seeing a panda in there.
Okay. I haven't seen that.
In some of the art. I will send that to you later.
Okay.
But yeah, and because I remember people going, well, there were no other races except for what was then the high elves, the humans. I can't even remember if there was something else. If were dwarves already fighting? I can't remember. So, you know, it always surprised me at least that you didn't see elves, because you have Sylvanas there with
yep.
her, you know, clearly, okay, yeah, she's a banshee, but still, I can see some elf features there. So, you know, so you're a little bit like, even her Dark Rangers, most of them look like elves, and it's just surprising that we can't.
The Dark Rangers are elves, but they're not Forsaken.
See, it's so. That still baffles me at times.
Yeah, me too. But they are or they are the special kind of Forsaken. But we've had those for ages. The Dark Rangers. So that's it's something that.
And you see it a lot with role players, because I see a lot of people who want to play like Dark Rangers. Mm-hmm. So they either create a Blood Elf, or they create a Forsaken, and then it's just transmog gear that they, you know, try to change it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting. And hopefully we'll get something like that. That would be nice. But like you said, the ones that are created by the lights, that would be light-infused Forsaken. That would be really interesting.
Definitely. And then the consequences of it.
Yeah.
That's much more interesting than the fact itself.
I think so. Well, just the whole, how is that going to all coexist in one body? That seems like such extreme opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Something completely different. So you started your Forsaken so many years ago, but how did you start your love for World of Warcraft?
How did I start it? I don't know if you know the game Sacred?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So it's a game for the US listeners. It's a game it's a German game. It's a game that is similar to Diablo 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big thing in Europe. And again, I don't know how big it was on the other side of the pond, but I played that for a while just before I started playing WoW. And then some people I played Sacred with, they migrated to Warcraft, and I said, I'm never going to pay for a game that I know, like a sub. No, that's not going to happen. And then you get that 10-day code, and then
and that was it, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I had to then I installed the game. I had to get the disc somehow. I can't remember how I got the disc. I think a friend of a friend of a friend gave me his, so I could install it, because back then you didn't have the online install option.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 4 CDs back then, when you didn't even have DVDs yet. So yeah, and then I watched the cinematic.
Yeah.
At the beginning, with the dwarf and his bear walking down the slopes outside of Ironforge, and then I saw the night elf druid jumping, transforming, and then I saw the ground slowly turning green, and I thought, oh, that is awesome. And then you see the undead, and you see his minion, and I thought, that's what I want to play.
That is so cool.
And then, even though I started a mage first, because I thought, okay, it sounds interesting. You can make your own food.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bonus here and there with the intellect, and you need intellect and all that stuff. So I started my Forsaken. He was a Forsaken mage, and then he ended up in Hammerfall, at I think 34, and that's where he is to this day, on the EU side in Hammerfall in the inn. And then I think at 20 something, I thought, nope, that's not going to do it for me. but there was that dude at the base of the tower with his big infernal. Let's get back to that and explore that. And yep, haven't looked back since.
That is really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And then later on, I think, was it Legion that you got another amazing cinematic with a, was it a warlock? Also a Forsaken warlock with the Murlocs. I think it was Legion. I can't remember. But not Legion, sorry. It was, what's the second one that we got? The first expansion, basically.
Or the
Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I just always love seeing like little cinematics about the races.
I mean, it wasn't even the cinematic after when I created Feklar, my mage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you played in vanilla or in vanilla.
Not too much, probably.
No, with the vanilla version of the game that lasted through Wrath. Initially, you started down in the crypts.
Yeah.
As a Forsaken, before the Kata revamp, and then you did your couple of quests down there. And then you started going up the stairs and outside into Death Knell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for me, when I did my first couple of quests down there, you collected the needle and thread or whatever it was. You did the same kind of quests. And then you walked up the stairs. And then when I came outside the crypt, I thought, oh, wow, this is like the greatest thing, and with the architecture and the landscape, and that obviously for me, not knowing that was just a minuscule minimum portion of the entire world. It was like so, but I thought that was like so awesome, and I so much liked what I saw when I stepped outside of the crypts, and that I thought, yes, that's
it. Then that's it for me.
It. Yep.
That's really good, though. I mean, I have to admit, I had that a little bit when I created my first Night Elf Druid, and I, saw the intro to Grand Nagus and things like that. I think at that point the game makes such a huge impact on you that's why so many people still play it to this day. Now, with the new expansion, however, what is the thing that you are really impressed with when it comes to Battle for Azeroth?
I'm not sure if impressed is the right term. When I talked to Alex Afrasiabi last year at BlizzCon,
mm-hmm.
Or it started another way. I sat down on the curb outside of the Hilton Hotel with Terran Gregory.
Yeah.
And we chatted for a couple of minutes. And then I told him, I said, you know what? I really, really would like to meet Alex Afrasiabi, because there are so many things that I would like to ask him with the new expansion,
mm-hmm.
With the blood trolls and all that. And we chatted a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden he jumped up and he screamed, "Alex!" And he came over. So he came over, and lo and behold, I got to talk to Alex Afrasiabi for about 15-20 minutes.
Wow.
So that was, and we chatted about what I look forward to the most in Battle for Azeroth, which was the Blood Troll War. Since the only time we ever had Blood Trolls or something close to Blood Troll lore was in the hinterlands, was Jinta Alor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I always thought we have so many other trolls in the game, but there's only that one area where you see trolls doing blood magic and blood trolls. I want to know more about that. Basically, since Trelane was 45, 50 back in vanilla days, I wanted to know more about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Yeah, well, you are in for a treat." When that Alex said, and Yep, he wasn't wrong. So that was a thing that I really, really like, and I really
So it
look
lived up to
forward
your expectation.
Yep, it definitely did, and especially since it connected well with the raid,
Mm-hmm.
because that's in the same area, and it all tied into Oldir.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that, and come to think of it, have you noticed many people asking or complaining about what we have trolls again? I haven't.
No. I know that everyone said that in the beginning when they first announced it. Everyone was like, "Oh God, it's going to be trolls." Okay.
Yep.
You know, you hear people joke about the whole troll raid again.
Yep.
Now no one is complaining about it,
Nope.
and all I hear is that people want to make Zandalari, and
Yep.
you know, people are thinking about blood trolls, and
Yep.
yeah, that's a very good point.
Yep. Because that's the thing where.
They've done something right.
Yep.
That's really, really cool. Do you have any good tips for the listeners regarding Battle for Azeroth? So that could be something that you've discovered, or just you know, how to handle it, because the game has been out now for a little while, but there might still be things that people are overlooking completely.
The other day, if you really want to quest, and if you, I mean, that this might sound strange,
Mm-hmm.
but if you really want to quest for the first time, be it you want to quest on the other faction, and you really want to immerse yourself in the lore, and you want to experience all of it
Mm-hmm.
leisurely, and don't rush and anything, don't do it on a gathering tune. Because you get so much experience from gathering,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you get up in higher levels and to end level that much faster that your gear most likely won't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to make it more difficult, especially if you are melee tune.
Yeah.
I noticed that my little gnome warlock now, she's almost 117, and she's just barely through. She has almost finished the second to last sub chapter of the first zone. So I still have 2 zones and 1 chapter of a zone left to go, and she's almost 117 already.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a herbalist. So I have to go through and quest to be able to unlock the world quest to the other 2 zones.
Yeah.
But I'm already going to be 120, and I'm hindering myself in playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, like with the lore experience, with the questing experience. And then on the other hand, you just have to like kneecap yourself and say, I'm going to either breeze through this, or you want to go and pick and choose some other quests in other areas, but then you're going to mess up on your lore and on your story experience, because you want to unlock your world quest, which you need apparently one of each faction tune needs to have, or if it's not even all the tunes, I don't know, you need friendly reputation with the 3 base factions to unlock the world quests.
And that's also easier to get if you do the storylines.
Yeah, but you have to finish one storyline.
Yeah.
To do, or you don't have to, but for me, I want to finish one thing to then start on the next.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm the same way. I would want to do the same thing.
So that's a thing where it should be a universal unlock. Once you ding 120, you get your flight master's whistle, and you get the world quest unlocked. They should have put that in as a account-wide unlock once your first tune dings 120.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
From the beginning, that's like something that I really, really think is important to mention. That it's something that.
Well, they are improving constantly, so who knows?
Sure.
They might, I mean, how long have we been screaming about account-wide reputation?
I haven't.
I have. So that might be nice to finally get some tweaking now and again.
I mean, granted, they do it now. They're kind of forced to do it now because of the Heart of Azeroth.
Mm-hmm.
The progression. Yeah. Had it not been that way, I doubt that they would have done it.
True.
Because if you open Pandora's box, it's open. You can't put toothpaste back into it doesn't work. so imagine if they only had given us the account-wide reputation for the champions of Azeroth. People would have screamed bloody murder.
Yeah, they would have.
Yeah, because it's possible now. Why don't we get this, that, and the other as well?
Yeah. No, that's very, very true. I guess we'll just have to see what else they decide to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've been quite a big part of the Warcraft community, but what has it meant to you?
What has the community meant to me?
Yeah, the whole Warcraft community.
Everything. It's for me. I mean, I'm not part of many other communities, but it's in my opinion, the entire Blizzard community is like the best community there is on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
And with the fact that I'm going to be on my trip to BlizzCon for the third time in a row.
So jealous.
Let's see, I'm going to leave on the 21st, going to Boston for a week, and then I'm going to fly over to LA for a week and a half. So, yeah, it's I mean, it has to be something that you care about if you do that. And for me, it's just about. And people say that, well, I didn't get a ticket, so why do I go? Well, you don't go there to go into the BlizzCon. Well, you do obviously.
Yeah.
But for me, it wouldn't have mattered had I gotten a ticket or not. I would have gone regardless, because for me the other things about it, the communities, the parties. Granted, we don't have a CTR party this year, but the Con Before the Storm, the DitchCon party, the Wowhead party, the whatever parties there are, the meetups, the people that go and visit the Blizzard campus and all that stuff, the medieval times that so kindly sponsored the World of Podcasts, because the Kickstarter didn't quite make it to get the World of Podcast funded, so they jumped in.
Wow.
that's what love and community is about, and I know that there are so many great experiences that I've had, and I talked about that in my interview with Paddy on my interview episode, on the launch episode for BFA on Cops on Radio. Talking to her for that brief period of time, about 10 minutes or whatever we talked, was my highlight of all my then two BlizzCon experiences. Mm-hmm. And I basically snuck up to the stage, or next to the stage, to the front row, to just be able to not miss her. Mm-hmm. After she was done with the event that she did there with the Women of Warcraft, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was named. Yeah, and it's just, and again, I can't iterate this enough. She is the nicest lady you can imagine. It's so awesome. She said, whatever you need, let me know, and sure, we can find a way to make it happen.
Oh, that's so nice.
So yeah, it's something that I really hope to see her again this year. I don't see how they cannot invite her.
Exactly.
So I mean, obviously they haven't announced anything yet, but that's really something. And with and I mean, I don't know how much you play or are into the Overwatch community.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So you know Darren DePaul,
mm-hmm.
the voice of Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is such an awesome guy as well, and with how he incorporates and what his character means to the community, and it's such a great thing. And they have him main and center stage this year as well for a panel, and it's going to be so awesome. And
I think that Blizzard got it really right with so many voice actors, mm-hmm. and you can just see that the voice actors enjoy being in that role.
Yeah,
it's not just another job, and that's what I really, really like. Like, they get it right all the time.
I mean, Anna in Overwatch, the 2016 when she was introduced. She couldn't make it because the voice actress is from Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year, they said, we can't have that. So they flew her in. They flew her over from Egypt to LA to be there on the voice actors Overwatch panel. I mean, I could go on for hours. It's so awesome, and that type of community, like I said, it means everything. Because without the community, you sit by yourself, click the join LFG or LFR, and do the stuff, and then you click leave group, and that's it. So, but with the community, it makes a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
No, I can't but agree with you. That's so cool. And maybe once you've been to BlizzCon, we need to have another interview and we can talk about how BlizzCon was.
Oh, definitely.
Excellent. I'm just, I can't wait. I'm almost so enthusiastic for you just going there. Something that you talked about, like community in game, is something that one of the listeners has introduced, who was Exclavier, or still is Exclavier. He said something about, the putting forward that random act of kindness in the game. Have you ever experienced just random acts of kindness in the game?
Not in a way that I hear other people explaining it, like open trade and giving you God knows what item. No, not that, but what I've experienced more times than not is the LFR changing or trading items that other people need.
Yeah.
And that in of itself it's not a monumental act of kindness, but it's still kindness on some level. Let's put it that way. So not to diminish it in any way, shape, or form, but I think the system of LFR and the system that you can trade gear under whatever rules, and with the add-ons that allow you to do so, I have a add-on installed. I'm not sure as to what name it is, that opens a window and plays a sound whenever someone in a group, be it raid group or be it dungeon group, loots a item that I can use, or whenever I lose something that another person can use. And I can hit a whisper button, and then the person that meets those rules is whispered, and it's a standardized message. Either do you need this? Might I have this if you don't need it? Or I have this item. Would you like to have it?
That's really nice.
Yeah.
But even so, that's still, like you said, it's still an act of kindness just to give it away, because no one has to. And I think, no, absolutely. What about maybe not so much kindness, but just something else? This could be very broad, but have you ever had a what the fuck moment in the game?
Oh yeah, quite a few. My ignore list is quite. Yeah. There's another add-on that's called Ignore More.
Okay.
Which I think you can see what purpose it serves. I'm not sure as to the numbers, but I think it expands the ignore list from 100 to 150.
Okay.
So something like that. So, and there were times in my EU career before I migrated to the US service where that was close to being necessary.
Do you notice a big difference between EU and US? My game style has changed so much, and the game has changed so much. So many features have been added that I can't really say that I would have to go back to the EU side and see whatever the equivalent is. So I wouldn't be able to say that it's different in a way. I know that I played on the German servers when I played on the EU side, and I really with the localization. The first thing I did when I got my fingers on
back then you had to install language packs
Oh, okay.
if you wanted to play WoW in a different language. So you had to really repatch the game. So you had to uninstall the game and then install the base game and then the language pack on top of the language that you wanted to play it in. So yeah, that was as soon as I saw that they had changed the first names, I thought, no, this doesn't work for me. I don't want Razor Hill to be German localized.
Yeah.
I don't want Undercity to be called Unterstadt.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. So I no, and then I got my hands on a file that was like way too big for me to download it within a couple of minutes. So I had to leave my computer on for like overnight to download that, and then that was a interesting experience in of itself.
Sounds easier than to go to the American servers, in all honesty.
Yeah, but still, you just drop down menu, select whatever language you want to play in, and it resets it, and you restart the game. Done.
It's a lot easier now.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are things in vanilla that,
I wonder if we get that back when we get to play Classic, that you have to start downloading language packs.
I don't think so. But no, it's.
Yeah, that's a completely. I understand the pain. I mean, I did play in English, but I heard my friends from all over say that they had to change a lot of things.
Yeah, and I was like, it was like a constant pain whenever a item's name or was displayed in whatever chat. Or people talked about like Ironforge, Undercity, whatever, and used the German names. It was like, oh, that hurts. Like it almost hurt as much as a dentist's visit. So yeah,
I had that at times. I'm like, where's the immersion? I don't know what are they on about. Yep. You saw that, especially when items were linked in chats, that you were like, what is that? And then. Yeah. And you have to mouse over to then see the translation in the tooltip, which thankfully it did. So, but first seeing it was a little bit like, what? What's that? Yep. Yeah, but I think we still see it at times. I think on the European service with German and French. I think Spanish, or is it Portuguese? One of the two we sometimes see as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's that's the great thing, I guess, for living in Europe, that there's so many different languages just being provided to, which is not a bad thing at times, but it causes some issues, I guess. Yeah, I think the only service you aren't linked with are the Russians, because they have Cyrillic or what? Yeah, they have their own, don't they? Yeah. Much like the Chinese have their own. Yeah, because everything has to be modified for them. Yeah. No, absolutely. You've already said something a little bit about this, so I want to know what your whisper is. So that could be anything, like a bit of theory crafting, a wish maybe for in the future, or something that you think could happen, or what would be your whisper? Yeah, I would totally. Yeah, it would be a something that, like you said, I talked about earlier with the Sylvana story, that she is going to play a prominent role in the lore, and that she is she not necessarily be the big savior of the universe, but still have a prominent role, and have a moment in the game where people would understand why she did what she did. Yeah, and I think that would be nice, because I do hope that she doesn't just disappear like Illidan basically did. It was like, redemption, bye.
Yeah.
And I don't want that.
Really. It doesn't necessarily have to be redemption. It just has to be, we understand why you did it. You're still evil, but we understand why you did it.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Well, Nagus, thank you so much for this interview. If people want to hear much more about all your amazing interviews and your stories, where can they find you and your amazing podcasts?
Or they can find me personally best on Twitter at Grand Nagus 1. And you can find me on the podcast Control Alt Wow. We are at on Monday evening at 6 p.m. East Coast time on Twitch at Control Alt Wow Podcast, and you can find Cops on Radio at crr.podbean.com.
And I mean, I'm already following you there anyway, as it is. But I'm going to follow that Twitch channel as well, because if I can ever catch you guys live, that would be great.
Yeah, and sometimes I haven't streamed in a bit since I had some personal issues to take care of, and but Cops on Radio has its own Twitch channel as well, where I stream from time to time when I play my Forsaken or gnome, sometimes characters. So you can go there and follow that if you want to as well. That's Cops on Radio or twitch.tv/Cops on Radio.
That's really cool. I'm going to follow that as well. Nagus, thank you so much for this interview.
You're very welcome.
Now, I hope you enjoyed that interview just as much as I did. But you guys had something to say about the races in World of Warcraft as well, especially about, I guess, allied races. So let's start with this. Standing in Fire podcast, love that title, said, sort of done with races, we need more classes. Yes, that would be a good one. I think, with the fact that we get allied races, that's great. But a new class wouldn't be bad. I'm still hoping for something like a bard. So what do you guys think? What sort of class do we still need? I would like something like a bard. Maybe a necromancer? Would that work? I know that we have warlocks, but maybe a necromancer would be cool. Unless, I guess you kind of... Maybe Death Knights are a bit like that. I don't know. Tahuhurak, Dawn Strider, sorry, I always butcher your name, said, Tauren are my favorite. I love steak, so gotta love the Tauren. Least favorite, hard to say, but maybe human, as I am one, I do believe. Allied races are generally good, and I have no problem with their unlocking. Murlocs can remain NPCs. Okay. I would still be interested in a Murloc as a race, in all honesty. But I love that I love steak, so I gotta love the Tauren. Okay. Would you eat a Tauren steak, though? That's a big question. Would you eat a Tauren steak? Wizard Life Studios said, Tauren because they are big. I am beyond frustrated about the locked races. I played a lot last Axe Pack. I have around 6 max turns, and yet somehow I don't get to play the new races. Oh, that's really a shame. I guess, have you done all of the quest lines, like for instance for the Nightborn? And I guess it's just rep grinding, isn't it, for all of that, especially with the Void Elves and the Lightforged, one of the two, Lightforged, I think. It's a lot of rep grinding on Argus. That's how I did it, but it took a bit long. I didn't enjoy it. Ben the Scorbinic said, a massive fan of the new Nightborn, by far my favorite. Least would be gnomes. Something about their casting faces just ticks me. Allied races are an amazing addition, but to unlock requirements is pretty insane even now. And of course, Freedom Murlocs. I'm not good with abbreviations. Don't give me abbreviations, Bendis. That's just cruel. But yeah, I agree. I like the Nightborn. I have not paid any attention to gnome faces when they cast. See, I have to go back to Goldshire now, just in case that there are gnomes that are casting something, so... A gnome, of course, that we all know and have heard of, Frasley said, favorite, gnomes, because I like being short in-game and tall in real life. I also love how quirky the race is, and they just aim to explore the world and see the positives in it. Now, Cherry Smith said, as a reply to that, gnomes just come up a bit short, baby, and gnomes have short man syndrome. Hey, they have very big personalities, so, you know, I think they make up for being very short. Who aggroed that said, from Alliance, Draenei is the race I play most often. I think that's because they were the first new race that became available after Vanilla. I also like the Void Elves. I love the purple sparkly hair. The least favorite would have to be the Worgen. Allied races, I'm not a fan of rep grinding. I would rather do a larger quest chain to earn their trust and loyalty. If that works out to being a rep thing, then that's fine, but just a straight rep grind, blech. I agree, actually. I would much prefer doing a massive quest line that also ties maybe in with rep, like a little bit like the Nightborn, but not like with the Void Elves and the Lightforged. That was just... I didn't enjoy that at all. I did like the quests afterwards to get them, but, you know, not the initial rep grind. Dan said the favorites are Murlocs or Tuskar. Least favorite, Gnolls or Quillbore. Both of them share the same like to dislike. Okay, I like the Tuskar idea. Quillbore, I've never really thought about that. I can understand that with the dislike, but yeah, that would be interesting to see those as an allied race. Kevin said, my favorite race is by far the Tauren. They are, to me, the classic representation of the tribal culture and savage physical build that turns out to have a deep and rich heritage, as well as a beautiful philosophy, and are quite advanced in their race's outlook on the world. It's very true. I really think that Tauren are amazing. I just think they're a bit too big for me to play. I don't like playing really big races like that. Paladin Ivres, I hope that's how I pronounce it, or Ivres. Lightforged Draenei have become my race because shooting laser beams from the sky is just so fulfilling. Allied race unlocking. I can understand the annoyance for new players when dealing with old expert features, but not when rep grind is gained as part of playing the main game itself. Yeah, like I said, you know, I managed to get that with the the Nightborn, and I think it worked. It was slow going, in all fairness. It was very slow, but it helped. So yeah, I see where people are coming from. I am very much surprised that none of you have said anything about the Valpera. I know that some people really, really want them as race, but I don't know yet. I don't know. Maybe it will be interesting. I have a suspicion we will get them as allied races probably, but maybe they will reveal more at BlizzCon. That would be interesting. So, in other news, you know, all the woes of talking about rep grinds, Corpse Run Radio said, 8.1 brings double the amount of rep rewarded for Legion World Quests. I think that's what Ian Hazacosta said in the Q&A. So that part should be better if they go through with that fix for a faster unlocking of the allied races. Now that would be very interesting. I have to admit, I did not really pay attention to any Q&As. I don't know, my brain was high on cough syrup, I guess. But, yeah, that would be nice if you actually get more reputation rewarded for the Legion World Quests. I do know with the Emissary now, it's the Mark of the Emissary or something like that, you actually get double the reputation for any of the World Quests, so that would be something to do this week if you want to boost that up. Now, it's still a big grind to exalt it though. I might start doing honor-bound stuff just because I want to unlock Magar. And the thing is, again, okay, so I unlock it, and then what? Because I have all the classes on Horde side already, and I don't really know what to play anymore. I love my rogue, and I am actually quite happy with my female troll warrior. That would be my alt on Horde side, so I don't know what to do with the Magarok. I really don't know. I have to think about that. But yeah, that's really for another time, I guess. So for next week, we have, of course, another question. Next week, I talk to Jortrand and we talk about the state of Battle for Azeroth. So how are you finding it? We are several, weeks into, or a month even, into the expansion. BlizzCon is upon us quite soon. How are you finding BFA now? We all were maybe very enthusiastic in the beginning, or maybe really disappointed in the beginning. It's been a bit later now. We're talking about 8.1 even. But how are you finding it? Are you still loving it? Or do you have, the first cracks have started to show now? What do you love more than you'd expect from Battle for Azeroth? And what do you wish they scrapped or changed? So I'm really curious about that. If you have a long story, you can send it also to me. Just do it via email if you don't want to send me like 20 Twitter messages. But please contact me on Twitter at whispers_of_war. Or you can email the show, whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, you can find the show on whispersofwar.podbean.com. And again, as always, thank you so much for downloading and spreading the word. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I just want more people to come on the show for interviews. So, send me a tell, send me a PM. Some of you have already reached out, but I would love to talk to more of you, especially maybe right before BlizzCon and then after BlizzCon, and see what you guys thought and if you're enthusiastic about the future of World of Warcraft. So for this week, have a lovely time in Azeroth, and I will see you guys in show 11. Bye bye!